Hi, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is a paid request for Bronson, the first of 3 requests. If anyone wants to request any type of videos, movie reviews, re-reviews, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, full playthrough, tier list, ranking, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And the 3 films are the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. He wants me to watch them again, re-review them, talk about them, and I'm like, that's fine. And let's get into it. The first Spider-Man film. Now, the first Spider-Man movie, which I used to have the DVD, I don't think I have it anymore. I remember the hype this film had because it had been many years in the making to finally have a Spider-Man film. I mean, there was talks of Roger Corman wanting it back in the day, and then Canon Films, Golden Globes didn't know who Spider-Man was, so they thought it was a horror movie like The Fly, and they got Tobey Hooper, and then Stan Lee's like, wait a minute, that's not what kind of movie this is, and then Joseph Zito, who did Invasion USA, he was going to direct a Spider-Man movie for Canon Films. That didn't work out. And then James Cameron, there was talks of him doing it for years, and I think one of the villains he wanted was Electro, and his was going to be like a bit of a darker Spider-Man. I think he wanted Leonardo DiCaprio as in the lead role. Ultimately, and he was going to do the, I think at first, with Carol. None of that ever happened. Eventually, James Cameron went to do films like Titanic and then work on the making for the upcoming. Titanic took a lot of time, and then he wanted to do Avatar for years, so he was kind of past doing Spider-Man. And then there were people like, well, what about Roland Emmerich? What about Jan de Bont? What about Tony Scott? What about all these other directors? Eventually, Sam Raimi, he had to do some convincing, but he said, I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man, especially the Silver Age comics. Spent like an hour convincing the people that he was the right guy for the job. And eventually, he got the role as director. And I like Sam Raimi as a director. But I mean, really, it's the Evil Dead trilogy, Darkman, I Don't Mind a Simple Plan. I'm not big on the stuff he's done lately. I don't like Drag Me to Hell. I did not like Oz the Great and Powerful. Definitely didn't give a shit about Doctor Strange 2, The Multiverse of Madness. That was a god-awful movie. I honestly can't remember the last film Sam Raimi made that I liked, to be honest. But at this time, a lot of hype for it. And, I mean, at the time, I'm about 19 years old when this film comes out, and I've been reading comic books of Spider-Man for years. I'm like, wow, there's finally a new film, and I did see this in the theater back in the day. And the fact that you see anything with Spider-Man is like, oh wow, this is great. Loved it back then. But each time I watch this film, I like it less and less nowadays. Now, Spider-Man 2, which I'll get to, I do like that film. I think that film holds up better than the other two. This one, though, it has its merits, it has its good points, but overall, I can enjoy Superman, that level of fun, campiness, however you want to put it. Just I really like Christopher Reeve. I buy him hook, line, and sinker, among other elements of the film, especially the first Superman. This one, though, it does seem very campy and corny, and I remember there was a guy who used to be subscribed to me and used to like my stuff, but I remember in a stream I mentioned that, and he got so upset he would leave like multiple comments oh, you like Rambo films, those aren't campy. I'm like, I don't know if anyone has ever said First Blood is campy, but that's just me. If you feel that way, that's fine, but I mean, he got really mad that I said that, so I'll say it again. I think these films, Spider-Man 2 I liked, and it's a bit campy. But Spider-Man 1 and 3 are definitely campy. And there's some campiness I can enjoy, but this one I'm like, for me, and it was more cringe than anything. It's more like, okay, to be or not to be Maguire. Do I think he's a guy who has acted well in certain movies? Yes. Brothers, he did a good job in that film. Pleasantville, same thing. I could buy him a bit as Peter Parker, but I cannot buy him as Spider-Man. Peter Parker, the way he's playing it, that's trying to be like the Peter Parker of the original comics. Golly gee willikers, you know, that kind of mentality, awkwardness. I can see what they're doing, but it's definitely that golly gee, like as if we are the 1950s, which I think was what Sam Raimi was going for, because those original comics are the ones he liked the most. Those are the ones he wanted to cultivate into these movies. That was his Spider-Man. And that's, I think, where the difference is. While I like those Spider-Man comics, my Spider-Man was in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and when he was a man, like into the 90s. So, different vibes. Same with the 90s cartoon. And Tobey Maguire, just when he's Spider-Man, like the voice that he has to be a superhero, and like they try to give him jokes, and every one of them I think fucking fails, and just a big eye roll. Hey kiddo, let mom and dad talk, or it's you's out gobby, out of your mind. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Fuck you. So I'd never like to be or not to be Maguire. I much prefer Andrew Garfield. Hell, I much prefer Tom Holland. I know people get pissed at. Tobey, I could deal with as Peter Parker, although again, some of the campiness that the writing gives him to do, I'm not big on. Sometimes, like, there's some moments here that work in that level, in that format, when he's learning his powers and he's trying to do the web and he's like, up and away web, Shazam, you know, he's doing all this stuff like this. That was funny. But when so much of the film features that kind of stuff, it just, a little could go a long way is what I'm saying. Kirsten Dunst, I've never been a big fan of hers. She's fine in films like Jumanji, but in these films, it's either she's alright in this first one, but it's just definitely much more of the damsel in distress. The second one, a little bit more needy and self-centered, and the third one, I don't care about your problems. How about you listen to my problems and what I'm dealing with? Fuck you. How about them? Well, MJ, I mean, hate, you know, gotta deal with criticism and hatred. It's not about you, Peter. It's about me and my play. Maybe your play fucking sucks. Maybe your play's the shits. Maybe you're a shitty actor. I don't know. Fuck you, Mary Jane. So I've never been a big fan of her as Mary Jane. James Franco, which I know he's now persona non grata because of things he did. I did like him as an actor. He's not given a whole lot to do as Harry Osborn in these films. Willem Dafoe, when he's just being, like before the change, when he's just part of, you know, the leader of Oscorp, when he's Oswald and just being kind of low-key, he does great. the early scenes, he's friendly with Peter Parker, but when he becomes a Green Goblin, he really hammed it up. I know some people really like the hamminess of his performance, but man, sometimes it just goes out the fucking window and doesn't come back like it should, like a boomerang should. It just leaves the reservation and doesn't come back for a while. And some people like that. To me, I'm like, it comes off as sometimes it can't be like it's a Power Rangers episode. Sometimes his villain is like a Power Rangers episode, especially when he has the fucking costume. I'm waiting for the Power Rangers to come in and fight him. Because I think his suit looks like shit too. I mean, the story, you get Tobey Maguire and him going to college, him getting bit by the spider, you tell he has a crush on MJ, Mary Jane. Meanwhile, Willem Dafoe, there's this test in 2 weeks, and they don't have results, they don't have no more funding, so he rushes the test on human subjects, uses himself as the subject. It's to strengthen body, but side effect makes him go insane. He kills one of the people there, but he has these blackouts. He can't remember what happened. So it's like a Jekyll and Hyde thing. There are times he's talking in the mirror, and there's the scared self, and then there's the sinister, evil self. I didn't like Jekyll and Hyde. Meanwhile, it goes through, stuff you would think with an origin. Learning his powers, trying to figure out his powers. I like the idea of him having the organic web shooters. Never bothered me. I thought that was a cool idea. Made itself unique, gave it its own identity. It never bothered me. I thought it was a cool bit. It had a couple funny parts. Like those parts I thought were funny. Him using it and training with it. At school, he avoids this bully's punches. Now, he does such an incredible job and does like a bat flip that he flips like 3 times in the air and comes back down. And there's even a bit where he accidentally put a food tray and hit someone, and then when he leaves, everyone sees his big web attached to the thing. How the fuck is it that nobody thinks, like 2 weeks later, there's a guy swinging around with web? Didn't we see a kid at school with a bunch of web attached to his wrist? And was he also the kid that we all saw in a group that he did like 3 bat flips in the fucking air? And punched the guy, and the guy flew like 50 feet? You would think one of them would remember that and go, I wonder if that's Spider-Man. Nobody does, because you're not supposed to think about that. We have, I thought the people that played Aunt May and Uncle Ben, Cliff Robertson, great actor. I thought he was really good as Uncle Ben. I don't mind the lady that plays Aunt May in these 3 films. Didn't mind her at all. Peter Parker needs money. He sees a wrestling bit, much like in the comics, goes there. Doesn't do the whole thing of having a TV show, a variety show like the comics, but does do the wrestling bit. I do love having Bruce Campbell as a Michael Buffer type of announcer. What's your name? The Human Spider. The Human Spider? Oh, that sucks. Spider-Man. So he names the character. Pretty important part of the whole deal. I love that the wrestler he goes up against is Macho Man Randy Savage. Rest in peace to him. I'm a big Macho Man Randy Savage fan. That's one of my favorite scenes of the movie. He's great. Bullsaw is ready. I got you for 3 minutes. Hey, freak show! 3 minutes of playtime. This Randy Savage is just a great personality to have there. The fight goes a lot quicker than I remember, but pretty much he jumps around, he gets hit by a chair a couple times, and there's like 1 or 2 flips, and that's it. To throw him against the ropes. Now again, it was great to see Macho Man Randy Savage, so I did enjoy that scene. He just ripped off, he's only paid $100, so when a guy robs it, he lets the guy go. You could have stopped him. Well, I missed the part where that's my problem. You can understand why he fucked over the guy because the guy was a dick. But then eventually Uncle Ben dies, finds the crook, finds out it's the guy. So it does respect, for most part, the original origin story. That whole bit, that was cool to see in live action. Seeing the killer, seeing who the guy is, realizing it's the same guy he let go, the realization the guy trips, falls out the window to his death. Like, I thought that was pretty decent. Pretty soon after he decides to be a hero, you get this montage. I thought the montage, I don't know, went by a bit too quickly. And like I said, there are times it just really tries to be very goofy and silly. And sometimes for me, like for this film, it got so abundant with that I'm like, could you cut it out a little bit? I mean, yeah, there are moments of seriousness, to be fair. But this is like, god damn, man. Like, okay, I don't need all these weirdos talking about Spider-Man, including Lucy Lawless, Xena Warrior Princess herself, is in the film as the punk lady saying, "Guy with 8 hands. Sounds hot." I'm like, is that fucking Lucy Lawless? And it is Lucy Lawless. Or some guy singing the Spider-Man theme song, shitty. We're introduced to Daily Bugle, J.K. Simmons, great choice for J. Jonah Jameson. Give credit to that. Cool to see Ted Raimi in there. So, again, there's aspects I like. I like Randy Savage. I like Bruce Campbell being in the film. I like J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. I like Ted Raimi in there. I kind of wish we could see more of the Daily Bugle in these films. But they're in it, a little bit sporadically. The action scenes, there's some decent ones, but for the most part, I didn't find them as thrilling as maybe I did back in the day. I think this is one of those things where they're on, how do I put it? They have to kind of trial and error stuff. What can work, what can't work. With special effects of making a guy swing believably, a guy that knows all these gymnastics, acrobatics, and how do you make him do stuff that a human can't do, but you try to get an actual person to do it, or there are times they have a computer graphic do it, and when the computer graphic does it, these special effects do not hold up. I know it was 2002, but I would say even the effects in 2004, I do think look better. That a good chunk of them don't look as bad. Not saying all, but a good chunk of them I think can still stand the test of time fairly. This though, a lot of the effects aren't that great. Even the scene transitions, like Green Goblin's fire kind of covers them, then transfers. It seems like someone would be on a fucking kids show. Some of these transitions. I know that sounds stupid, but this remind me of. But yeah, I don't think the CGI, the special effects really hold up. Hey, I love Daredevil, and I can't even say the special effects in that don't hold up either, but I got more into that story, that main character, that fighting, that tone. I just got into that more, especially the R-rated cut. It's more my kind of movie, maybe. Eventually, there's this parade, this party. Macy Gray is singing. I think it's Macy Gray, for all who remember Macy Gray, which I was never big into her music. And Green Goblin comes in, destroying stuff. You have this dumb fuck kid just standing there while this thing's falling on him, and it's like, just standing there. Like, I guess this kid wanted to die. He just fucking stands there with the thumb up his ass doing nothing. So Spider-Man has to save his ass. It's like this. He's even like, move, kid. Like, move, you dumb fuck. So that kid annoyed the piss out of me. I also find it convenient that the Green Goblin throws a pumpkin bomb and it turns these people into skeletons. Mary Jane is like 2 feet away on the other side of the camera, and she doesn't get affected by it. So why is it that a bomb and like all these people around them die into skeletons, but again the girl that's like 2, 3 feet away, she's fine? I guess the camera really is the barrier. If you're behind the camera, you're safe. Just both her and James Franco were safe from that. Plot armor, plot convenience. And I don't know, like he's jumping on the parade balloons. Green Goblin and him fuck around with each other. And also another weird thing with these films, Sam Raimi films, the extras. Sam Raimi will just film someone saying like this random sentence, or not random, this sentence, but they do it in like an awkward, like campy way. So random go, it's Spider-Man. It just like, I get what they're doing, but it just comes off as goof, and corny. I don't know, like, because they're going so over the top, and here's this person, we don't know who it is. It's Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man 3 when he's getting to the climax and he's swinging, and you have this girl, go Spider-Man, go! I'm like, who the fuck are you? Shut up. I'm not into the love story between Mary Jane and Tobey Maguire because I'm not big on these actors. I'm not big on the interpretations of these characters. Kirsten Dunst just never did much for me, and again, Tobey Maguire, very Opie Taylor from the Andy Griffith Show, the kid Ron Howard played. Golly gee, Aunt B, are the pies ready? Like, very, very. Like, it takes place modern, but it feels like these actors are from the 50s. Like, the way they're told to act at times with some of their dialogue delivery. I'm sure a part of that was on purpose, but again, not what I was looking for. And there's a bit where J. Jonah's office just trashed by the Goblin, and Spider-Man's like, hey kiddo, let mom and dad talk. And then Goblin's like, sleep, and knocks out Spider-Man, and then they're talking on a roof, and it's like two action figures trying to talk to each other. Just one can't move. The Green Goblin suit, I think, looks like shit. It looks like a rejected Power Ranger villain. Which is crazy because they had another fucking thing with like a mask that would move and look more like the Green Goblin, and it was deemed too silly. Like, this isn't silly. I think this looks sillier, what you have here. Him talk. It's not like Darth Vader. Darth Vader, you know, that character works when you don't see the mouth and such talking. Here, it did look like an action figure that a kid, invisible kid, was controlling and maneuvering where the hell he wanted to. Hated the Green Goblin costume. Just looked goofy and awkward and stupid. And like, Green Goblin thinks that Spider-Man's going to join him. Of course he doesn't. You have the fire bit where he's throwing the blades and Spider-Man's using his spidey sense to avoid them. Gets his arm cut. You have the one bit, of course, people remember, he saves Mary Jane from these thugs, and then you have the upside down kiss in the rain. I'm like, Mary Jane's a bit of a hoe. Because she's with this guy in school, then they break apart. Well, the guy, Flash Thompson, a dick. But then she's with James Franco. But then she's kissing. She's with Jane Franco. Sometimes she thinks of Peter Parker, but she also kisses Spider-Man in the mouth. I'm like, you're a hoe. Mary Jane's a hoe in these movies. She's a fucking whore. I know he gets back to his apartment and he's got to get to dinner quick. Why he didn't think to bandage his arm before he went down there, I don't know. He just put something on, and then Dan's like, "What's that?" Oh, and then he rolled it up, and there's the mark right there. And I'm like, "You're not even going to try to, disinfect it, bandage it, or something? If you did, then maybe she wouldn't have fucking noticed the quick thing." I don't know. I guess you say maybe she knows the bandage and he would have remarked on the bandage. But at least that could have give a bit more suspense of, okay, he doesn't know what that is. Is it a burn? Is it coincidence? Is it alive? Is it Memorex? Maybe they give a little bit of suspense on whether he believes Peter Parker's story that he got this in some other accident. Because he wouldn't been able to see the mark that well. But here, it's like, he knows. He knows this guy's Spider-Man. There's no pretense. There's no suspense about it. I forgot how kind of small and quaint nowadays the finale of this film is. Which is the bridge. Here's a choice. Mary Jane or these kids. He saves both of them. Kind of like a choice like Batman Forever. Do you want to save Nicole Kidman or do you want to save Chris O'Donnell? And eventually Batman saves both. So he saves both. He's holding on. The citizens help out Spider-Man as a distraction. He's able to get the kids and Mary Jane to safety. Green Goblin takes them. They crash into this rubble. Spider-Man gets his ass kicked for most of the fight. Then they will do a couple things, a couple web things and a couple punches, but it's like, with how much damage he took, like, you wanted him to kick the Green Goblin's ass a bit more. And then the glider, he flips, it hits Willem Dafoe, he dies. Eventually, there's the funeral. James Franco blames Spider-Man. Peter Parker's like, "I can't be with you, Mary Jane, because I need to keep you safe." Walks away. And then the movie's over. Now, the music, I know a lot of people love the music. The music, if I'm fair, it's okay. It's okay music. The reason I say that is there is a theme, but it's not one I ever go back to re-listen to. I will for Superman and Batman and some of these other superheroes, but Spider-Man, like, the theme just felt to me. I'm not going to even say bad. It just didn't do much for me one way or the other, if that makes sense. The songs, I do remember Chad Kroger's "A Hero Will Save Us, Not Gonna Stand in My Way, Arms of an Eagle." I do remember that, and that song definitely takes me back because I heard that song a lot when MTV and stuff were playing that stuff all the time, at least for a little bit. I do remember there's being a lot of hype in the box office and such that followed. I say I like the girl. I like the lady who plays Aunt May. I like Cliff Robertson who plays Uncle Ben. J. Jonah Jameson, J.T. Simmons knocked out of the park. The skeletons, other than maybe the fight in the rain protecting Mary Jane, most of the action scenes I didn't really care for. The humor, I didn't mind the bit where he's training, like, how to shoot a web. It's one of the few bits of humor I laughed at. A lot of it just felt very cringy, very too goofy. Spider-Man's suit looks cool. Not big on Tobey Maguire's performance as Spider-Man. Again, the few times he tried to make jokes, I don't think they worked at all. And, okay, it's one of those films that, if I'm being honest, do I think this film is a terrible movie? To be honest, no. I'm not going to say this film's a terrible movie. I'm not. Do I think this film has aged well? I don't think so. People will disagree, but I don't think so. I do think it got better with Spider-Man 2, with, I thought, a bit more assured direction. I think it seemed like Sam Raimi was a little bit more comfortable with this film. And as is, the corniness and campiness just got to me with this film. That and the action scenes, there's other superhero films, Blade 2, even X-Men, that I enjoyed the action scenes more. X-Men 2, especially. I do think the second film amped up the action, amped up the villain, amped up the stakes. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think this film holds up. Again, the effects, some of the cast choices they made, just that big on. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the movie. I'm not going to call it dog shit terrible. I'm just not a fan of this film. I would say by the time, probably when the third one was coming out, I was like, yeah, the first one, I don't know if I ever need to see it again. Kind of that mentality. Just I was really getting over Tobey Maguire's performance, among other stuff. So, yeah, but with that said, thanks for watching, take care, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.